What's up, everybody? Here we are, Szn.2 2021, another episode.
Yep.
Got my main man, Joseph, in the building.
What's going on, everybody? Man, we so glad we got y'all again. Hey, I'm not making the same mistake from last time.
I say you should be hyped right now.
Yeah.
My man is his team won the football game, so we're gonna go ahead and congratulate him on that. And the NFL playoffs is going on right now. But yeah, man, it's another good day, good week. We in the classroom again.
Here we go. I hope y'all got them spectacles on.
Got them ready, because we have a really special guest with us today. We're going to be having a great, insightful conversation. I'm trying to learn something. I don't know about you, Joe. I'm trying to.
Hey, I got my learning hat on. I'm ready. Teach me to see.
Exactly.
Lex, well, let's get to it. Lex, why don't you tell them who we got with us today?
We have Mecail Martin. I want to make sure I pronounce her name right. And she's coming out of that great state of North Carolina where a lot of those great individuals hail. I'm not going to say any other names or anything like that, but Mecail is with us, a fellow individual who is visually impaired as well, but she has an amazing story. Wanted to bring her into sight school so we could teach some people to see today. So what's going on, Mecail?
What's going on, everybody? And Lex and Joe, I want to thank y'all for allowing me to come on to this show. So feeling pretty good. What's up?
Hey, we're glad to have you. Definitely.
Absolutely. So let's just go ahead and get this thing jumping, and really want to talk to you first and foremost about one of the first episodes that Joe and I did on Sight School. We gave people some insight into our upbringing, our childhood, where we grew up. And so give us a little rundown of where'd you grow up? Did you grow up in North Carolina?
Oh, yes. Born and raised in North Carolina, but a little small city called Eden. Make sure I pronounce that right. Some people like to run it together like Eden. We'd be like, what? Like you eating something? No, Eden, E-D-E-N. So yeah, so that's my city, Eden. But I grew up in a town called Draper, but we call it Draper. So that's what we
put that accent on it. I hear it.
The accent on that.
Represented. What was that childhood like? What did that look like? Your upbringing?
Man, childhood was great as a kid. I tell anybody as a kid, continue on to be a kid. Everybody wants to grow up so fast, but me being a kid was awesome. I grew up as a little bit as a tomboy, playing ball. I was very athletic, going to the Draper Rec. Can't forget about that over there in Draper, where we ball all day. And when the street lights come on, gotta come on home. But not only that, but also with my mother Leslie Martin, and also my father, Larry Peeler. So, they created me as a very some special individual, some special. But
Go ahead.
Other than that, and also as the Scorpio child, November 18th, yes, that's me. So got to represent my Scorpios out there. But childhood was awesome. I loved every bit of it, even playing ball, dancing, singing. I ain't going to put too much on the acting, but I do kind of clown around on the acting part when it comes to comedy. And also got to the point when I was like, trying to find God in life, as growing up. When I was a kid, I really couldn't understand it. But I think as I got to my teenage years, I start to notice more. So that's pretty much
what changed with that. I'm sorry to cut you off. When you speak about God and coming more into that space, what do you feel it was that helped you to transition to that point?
Well, I started to recognize things within myself, because I always said when I grow up, I want to play ball. I also want to go to college. I want to do this. I want to do that. And I seek into things very deeply. And I was like, man, am I becoming a psychiatrist, or am I looking at the world kind of differently? Because, you look at everything that God created, here are the answers. You really don't have to go anybody but go what God created. So when it came to ball, you really don't have to go to no rec or go to the YMCA to pay $5 just to play basketball when you got it right here on land. And I had to say it started in my mother's backyard. So when I was 5 years old, and then as I started to grow up, I was like, okay, I'm feeling a change, and I'm talking more and more and more to God. And I said, God, help me show what's going on because I need better understanding. And I'm not going to say I grew up in a church and I knew God off back because I really didn't know God like that. I mean, yes, I went to church and, as a kid, we coloring and stuff and, trying to sing and all that type of stuff. But it actually just had to start when it hits you in a point of time when something happens. And when something happened, it came about, well, I had to say when I became a teenager and I started to talk to God more and more and more and more and felt like, you know what, there's nothing to be ashamed about. And I don't want to say that word of shame, but I got to know who this man is personally. And I felt like as I grow up, I start to understand more and actually just, watching the movies. And I felt like the movies were much better versus than reading because I can read all day in the Bible and be like, I don't understand, but I'm so used to watching something and how that happened. And I was like, oh,
okay.
wow.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna bookmark that for a second because I feel like as the conversation goes on, there's gonna be a full circle moment. I'm gonna throw it to you for a second, Joe, because I think you got something.
Yeah. We're gonna come back to that, and that's most definitely gonna be full circle. But real quick, touching on, tell us about that love for basketball because you spoke about it very passionately. So,
Yeah.
and we kind of talked about it earlier before we came on camera. So tell us about that love for basketball.
Love for basketball. Well, love for basketball started when I was 5 years old. My mom used to ball, and she got me and my brother Nick Martin, our first basketball goal, which it still holds on now. And our first basketball goal came about year 2005, 5 years old. Right. Okay. So, mom's trying to show us how to ball. And I'm like, I'm really starting to like this sport, a ball. And shoot it through the hoop. What else can I do with this? What else can I do with this?
Yeah.
And then also growing up, all I played with was boys. That's all I played with was boys when I was little. So the more I played with guys, the tougher it made me feel. Like, okay, I got a little push. They were like, oh, you all right, Kel? I'm cool. Ain't nothing but a little push. Ain't nothing but a little push. But then, watching Michael Jordan, Allen Iverson, those guys, when they try to do the AI and all them crossover moves, wasn't too good at the crossovers, but man, just the feel of just playing ball, it was really good. And that's how I just fell in love with it. And
what was the shot like? What was your shot? You like the 3-pointer? You like to go into the paint? We talking mid range? What you got?
Well, I'm doing some little movements. We talking about 3-pointers. We talking about the free throw line. We talking about the underhook. We talking about all that.
So she's versatile.
Yeah, whenever I can get the chance to try to do that underhook, it just come out of nowhere. But when you're trying to do special moves like that, you just got to let it be. Don't try to just, do it because you see AI and all of them do it. Nah, just do it because when you feel like, I need to go ahead and do this move or whatnot. And then it just becomes natural. And starting off from 5 years old, from rec league, middle school on to high school, boom, AAU. Yeah, I did AAU a couple of times when I was younger. So yeah.
What's
So
your
that's
AAU team?
Honestly, to tell you the truth, I forgot what the name our AAU team was.
Oh man,
I can't remember.
Okay.
But
what about middle school or high school? Did you played on your middle school or high school teams?
Yes, middle school. I played 7th grade, 8th grade. Those were the only times we can play when you get into 7th grade.
Right.
I didn't start Seventh grade, but I was kind of like the sixth person off the
Okay.
bench.
Okay.
Okay.
But
Six woman.
yes, but eighth grade I started, but you had to start playing for that spot. So I went ahead, got that spot, and I've always started as a shooting guard. But in
Okay.
high
Okay.
school, when it came to high school, you had to play for a position. If you want to play for varsity, you had to play against one of the upperclassmen. So I played and I won that spot. Um, so it was only two freshmen that actually got to play for varsity um, during that time when I became a freshman. And I started varsity all 4 years as a shooting guard.
Mm.
Where were
Yeah.
you
Hey,
playing?
that's what I'm talking about.
Say that
Where,
again.
where were you playing at?
Oh, high school, John Martin Moorhead High School in Eden,
Shout
North
out,
Carolina.
shout out
Mm,
John Motley.
yeah.
Yeah,
What's
yeah.
what's the mascot?
Panthers.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Panthers,
Okay. Here
yeah.
we go. Here we go. I mean, you being real humble with it. I mean, to start,
Yeah.
a lot of students, a lot of student athletes out there can't say that they started varsity all 4 years
Yeah.
of high school. That's a big deal right there.
It is, but especially when you want that spot, you have to play against one of the upperclassmen. You got to really fight for that, and not
Right.
because oh, you got that spot. It's just like on drumline, they're gonna try to challenge you. You know what I'm saying for that spot? No, I'm gonna continue on with P1. You ain't about to put me on P2. We don't
There
do
you
that.
go. There you go.
So
Yeah.
no, let's get it. So that's how I see it.
I hear that. And also hearing you talk about growing up with the boys and them, giving you that fire and pushing you around a little bit. I'm pretty sure you probably were able to tap into some of that when it was time to get out there and fight for those positions and being in an actual game, trying to find
Mm-hmm.
that peace within where it's like, oh, I gotta like let's get it. Oh, let's go.
Yeah. But that's
Let's
another
go.
thing. That's another thing though. How I play at the rec, I don't change when it comes to school ball. I don't change it up. The only time I change up is when we have to do plays. How you play at the rec and how you play at home, you should continue on with that at school. You
Yeah.
know?
Right, right. Yeah,
Yeah.
I worked at the boys club out here in Raleigh, and I used to tell
Hmm.
them dudes like, man, y'all playing hard like this, you better keep it up when you go, when you go back to school. When you leave, when
Yeah.
summertime, you playing hard. But someone's like, nah, we can't play like this in school. I was like, man, you better stay hungry.
Yeah,
You
you
gonna be
gotta
a bench warmer.
Right.
right. You gotta be consistent across the
Yeah.
board. You can't let just
Yeah.
because the environment changes doesn't mean that your intensity and your drive and determination should change. So certainly want to keep that
Mm.
consistency no matter what is going on. So let's get into this. I'm assuming, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm making the assumption that a lot of this happened prior to you losing your sight. And
Mm.
now we kind of want to shift into, can you take us through that process and when you realize that, okay, like I'm losing my sight, like what did that day or time frame look like for you?
Okay. Yeah, I can take it back. So I gotta take it back to year 2009. June 2009, graduated from high school. So 2 months later, August 2009, I came across something that I never thought would actually happen. And I came across Stevens-Johnson Syndrome, never heard about it. But amoxicillin, everybody knows it is a very common antibiotic. And I took it when I was a kid, and it was in liquid form. So one day I had a little sinus infection going on. So I was like, okay, nigga, I need to go to the hospital. So they looked at my records and they was like, she just took amoxicillin. So they gave me amoxicillin in a pill form. I went home and I was living with my grandmother at the time. And I took the pill before I went to sleep. So I wake up and I didn't know really what happened. But the crazy part is about it, I wasn't, I wasn't, without trying to get choked up, I wasn't,
It's okay.
yeah, I wasn't like in tune of what was really going on. Because when I woke up, I said, "What's today?" And they said November. I can't remember the exact day, but they said it's November.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "What happened? What's going on? Where I'm at? And why? And who are y'all?" And they looked so far away, and the room was so cold. And they told me, and they said, "Hey, Miss Martin, how you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm fine. What's going on?" So they was like, "You are at Baptist." And I'm like, "I'm at a church." And they was like, "No, you're not at a church." They was like, "You at Wake Forest Baptist Hospital." I was like, "Okay, how did I get here?" And they said, "StevensJohnson did this to you." And so I'm like, "Who is Stevens Johnson?"
Yeah.
Like, this the guy that did this to me. So they was like,
Mm-hmm.
"No, Stevens-Johnson syndrome. You had an allergic reaction to amoxicillin that burned you inside and out, and it burned you down, basically down to the white meat."
Mm-hmm.
So my body was so cold and felt a little numb. And all I can remember is that I had these like IVs in my arms, tubes up in my nose. My eyes felt really funny. But the thing about that was that I had scabs on them, burns. My mouth felt funny. I had blisters. And also when I had blood coming out, um, my stomach was feeling weird, which I had a feeding tube. And what else? My fingers felt a little weird, which my fingernails were coming off. So basically, all I had was I had my teeth and I had my toenails. I lost my hair. I had burns on my ears, which I'm now wearing hearing aids because Stevens Johnson damaged that. And it took my nose hair. Um, I had to have skin drawn from the upper part of my legs to have skin on my back. I believe that was really the worst part.
Wow.
And I think that's it. So after all of that, I went back to sleep. I'm thinking, okay, this is a dream. Go back to sleep. I wake up. It's the same thing. So reality kicks in, and depression kicks in. And my mom had told me, I had family members that came and visit. They told me, "Mecail, when this first happened to you, you was kind of losing it. You was out of it. You was trying to get out your bed." And I guess I was trying to run away because I didn't know what's going on. But
Right.
they was like, you was trying to get out your bed. They had like slam you back into your bed. And a lot of my family members and friends, and I was in a relationship at that time. It hit everybody hard.
Right.
I can imagine.
Yeah, it's 18 years old, just graduated from high school. And I had plans on going to college, but I had something bigger. I had a talk with my coach, and I said, "Coach, I really think I'm going to just go into the Air Force because I don't have a family that has money to pay." And I feel like I go into the Air Force, I can still play ball for Air One and go to
Yeah.
Right.
school. Everything's being paid for. Then Stevens Johnson just turned my whole world upside down.
What what was the what was the recovery process like? What was how did that affect your, Because like you said, you had these plans going forward. You had a backup plan for your plan going forward. So can you talk to us about those days after? How long were you there before they said, all right, Mecail, you can leave the hospital? And then what was your thought process going forward?
Well, let's see. They did finally discharged me from the hospital in January 2010. I was ready to go. I've been through physical therapy, speech therapy, and that was really tough. Um, so I said, how am I going to move forward? What can I do by being not only visually impaired and also have hard of hearing, but being burned?
Yeah.
Because my body went through a lot. And so everything's going to have to take time. Even though I was like, okay, I want to do something. I'm not the type of person to sit around. I like to go.
Yeah.
I was
Be
so
able to
used
move.
to that. Right. So I'm like, the question is, okay, if I go to school, how am I going to go to school? I can't see. And before I even go to college, I got to learn something before I can do that. Like something that talks and whatever. So after recovering or whatnot, and actually I had maybe like 2 breakdowns, but my last breakdown, it was like, I don't know why I'm still here. Guys should go ahead and just pull the plug. So my mom looked into something and she heard about the School for the Blind, Rehabilitation School for the Blind in Raleigh, North Carolina. I said, boom, I'm going. I'm going. I'm going. I cannot I can't sit here and still be thinking about what happened to me. There are resources out there for me, and the first one is the Rehabilitation School for the Blind. I went for orientation, I think for a couple of days, learned what they had for me, the talking softwares, Braille, orientation and mobility, cooking, and I think that's it. But and so I came back home. So they said, Mecail, what you think? I said, oh, I'm going back. So I went back. I went in March 2013. And that right there is what really changed my whole life. And that was my inspiration and motivation and a major impact, because I thought I would just be stuck in a bubble.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. And we talked about in previous episodes about the rehabilitation centers for the blind out there and how they literally can change lives and change perspectives, specifically for blind and visually impaired individuals, because myself, Joseph, there's so many people out there who, once you experience this new normal, if you will, it's like, all right, well, I have to find out what there is for me, because there's still life to achieve at the end of the day, right? And I mean, you just can't, to your point, it's like, I got to do something. I got to get out here and bam, 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 bam. I got to keep moving, make it happen. I got this drive, this determination. And with you being an athlete, that's just a part of, to me, it sounds like that's a part of who you are. That drive is installed into your very being. So to be able to convert that, to transfer that energy to going to the center in Raleigh, is kudos to you. Did you have a mentor or someone who helped you throughout that process? It could be like a family member, whoever. I mean, did you have someone who provided that motivation for you, who's constantly pushing you?
Honestly, I don't really have a mentor. I was trying to look for a mentor actually in my last semester, graduating from college. But I would have to say that Miss Janet Perez.
Hey, shout out Miss Perez.
Miss Janet Perez. I mean, ever since day one until now. And I just talked to her before I tuned in with y'all guys. You know, okay, what's next, Miss Jennifer Perez? You know, she's always
Yeah.
pointing out some things, you know, the next move. Or I ask her for some advice, like, what you think about this? She's like, it's
Yeah.
okay, but you know, you can do better. You
Mm,
know, so I
yeah.
seek her as a mentor. So
Yeah. No,
yeah.
she is phenomenal. I think all three of us can go on and on about who she is and what she's done. She's a really great resource, great person. She's almost, man, she's like a human map quest. It's like
Yeah.
she sees your starting point and you let her know where the destination is, where you want to go. She's gonna compute it all
Yeah.
together and she's gonna give you a
Yeah.
map, and then I will say she, encourages you to take that map, look at the directions. She'll give you the directions, but it's up to you to go down those streets and make those turns appropriately, switch lanes when you need to, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah. And she's going to continue to be that GPS for you and help you get there. But you got to make the decision to get behind that wheel. So shout out to Miss Perez.
Man,
Shout
big
out to
shout
her
out.
for sure.
Big shout
Yeah.
out. Can you give us just a couple of well first, what is your eye condition now?
Sure. I've always had a hard problem of how to put it, but I guess I put it legally blind. But I always tell people that, you know, I can see light and I can see like shadows and motion.
Yeah.
But
Okay, so
I
you're
have
not total.
total okay, cool.
No. I'm saying so you're not total. You're not totally blind. You still have
Like
the
Yes.
partial.
ability to see something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. But my left eye is stitched all the way.
Mm-hmm.
That it had the most damage, but I can see a whole lot of light and motion out of that. And my right eye is like partially open, which I have a cornea transplant. This is my third one, and it's very irritating because of the stitches and stuff. But I'm really waiting on is the stem cell surgery. I actually did a little bit video about that when I went to my doctor's appointment in October, and I put it on Facebook so people know what it is. Because a lot of people ask me, well, what's a stem cell, or what the doctor talking about doing next? So I was like, hey, you know, why not do this little video, put it out there, so that kind of answer everybody's question about that.
Okay.
You know, yeah.
Yeah, okay. We'll make sure to put a link in the description so people can check out that video.
For sure.
All right.
For sure. Now we talked about it a little bit, the college aspect of this. You went to the rehabilitation center, you acquired the skills that you needed to make that next step, to level up, as we say. And tell us about that college experience, because you went to North Carolina A&T. Shout out to them Aggies.
Oh, she Aggie.
And yeah, how was that for you? How was the experience, the accommodations, just give us that what it looked like from your perspective.
Okay. Before I get into A&T, I had actually went to Rockingham Community College in Wentworth, North Carolina, from 2014 to 2018 part time.
Okay.
Before I try to, you know, jump far ahead into a university. I started off at community college first, you know, kind of take it slow. It was really tough over there in Wentworth because I believe I was like the first visually impaired student they ever had. And that was definitely a big journey. The accommodations, wow. I actually had to get the, I think it's an art club or something like that, because when it comes to math, and I should have said this before, math is one of my strongest points. I don't know what it is about numbers.
Okay.
I
Hey,
don't
we the same boat. I love
hey,
numbers.
Yeah, I
that's
don't know
what's
what it is
up.
about numbers. Yeah, so when it came to pre-calculus and trigonometry, I need to have something made, like something I can touch, so I know what's crossing over the x-axis to the y-axis and hit back to the zero. So we
Okay.
got in touch
Man,
with
okay. Hey, she
yeah,
took us down through that.
yeah.
My wife's a math teacher. She gonna love to hear that.
So when I had the art club to actually, create these graphs for me, that helped me a whole lot. But I was carrying a whole lot of books,
Yeah.
But hey, I was really doing it, and I know it really tripped out a whole lot of students in those classes. Like, wait a minute, how in the world she know that it moves to the left and flip over the x-axis and know it's going to
Yeah.
be a negative negative and cross back over, it's going to be positive. So I was like, I got this stuff made, I don't know what it is about numbers. And yeah, my body went through a lot of things, but that math never left me. It never left me, and that would really shock me. So sometimes I just had to really accommodate myself and get my peoples together, get my BR counselor, my IT, and whoever else is working under them, and get Miss Janet Perez on board. Like, I was like, man, I got peoples. Let me call them
To
up.
pull all the
Yeah,
resources together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, you got to get all them resources together so you can actually have your own crew come in. Like Miss Janet Perez
Mm-hmm.
said, you got to be the CEO of your success. So how you going to take that
Come on.
and succeed what you want? So when she told me that, I said, okay, Barack Obama's in town, so let me go ahead and get my crew together. And we did that. We did that. And
Hold on,
one
wait.
Wait,
So
wait,
Barack
wait, wait,
Obama
wait.
really came down?
Oh no, I was just using that face like me.
Oh,
We
okay.
was
So
going.
I was about to get jealous.
I was like, hold up, wait a minute.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know how Barack Obama had to get his crew, so
Yeah.
we had
Right,
to
right.
be in that stage. Like, it's time to take care of business.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then when I took one class, um, a PE class, okay, sports. So I had a assignment to do to make up my own type of exercise. So we already know basketball was one, right?
Mm-hmm.
So dancing, I had these students doing the 1-2 step Sierra dance. I'll never forget that dance. And if I ever meet her, we're gonna have a battle, Sierra. But get back to y'all though. So yeah, that was really fun. That was really fun. And it hit Fox 8 News. It hit Fox 8 News twice.
Oh,
And
okay.
I had to thank Miss Lynn Haynes. If she ever gets to listen to this, I want to thank her for that. Because she told me, the ball never leaves out of you.
Mm.
So I'm glad
There
we
you go.
made that. Graduated from there 2018, came right over to North Carolina A&T State University.
What?
Now
Man.
that
Okay.
one,
Yeah, I was just
yeah. So
about
we're
to
gonna get
say,
on that.
because I'm a HBCU baby. So tell us,
Mhm.
what was that experience like going to A&T, and like how many visually impaired people have been there before you? Do you know if any came after you? But what was your experience like being there?
Well, my first experience was Lord Jesus. That's what my first experience. Like Lord Jesus,
That
because
say a lot in
I
itself right
say,
there.
yeah,
yeah. So I'm staying on campus, and that's another thing too. Staying on campus for the first time, and I kind of remember A&T before I lost my sight, but now it's kind of different. It's got
hmm
bigger and more people, and I just hear a lot of A&T and all that stuff, and the
yeah.
band.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Wow,
You don't have to say.
yes,
Listen, if y'all don't know about HBCUs, the band that's the show.
yes, the band crazy. So I think with the band, that's what I really enjoyed about A&T, the music and everybody just hype, and also being around other African Americans, how they got, well, not really how they got to college, but what made them want to come to A&T, you know. So, and everybody had their own different insights about it. And I didn't really start getting used to A&T until maybe the next year. I was still trying to get used to being on campus and coping with being around other people. And also, I felt old. I felt old because everybody was like fresh out of high school. I'm like, man, I'm just, I'm 28, about to be, which I just turned 30. I just turned 30 in November. So I was like, man, I feel a little old, but at the same time, it's a good feeling. It is. A&T, that's what's up. And I'm just now feeling that Aggie pride. I guess I don't feel it till afterwards, but it's cool. But that band, I really enjoy it. For real, though.
You can't beat that. You see that all in the movies. You feel that energy, that excitement. You can't beat the HBCU band environment. Oh, come on.
Right.
Come on. That's just
the homecoming be crazy.
Come on. You ain't experienced nothing until you been to a HBCU homecoming.
Yeah, and that was my first time. In 2008, that was my first time ever been to a A&T homecoming. And I was like, man, lasts a whole week. Woo, they know. Yeah.
That's a party for sure, for sure.
Yeah, most.
But I just want to point out the fact too that a lot of people think that just because you may go to a community college or technical college or whatnot, that there's something wrong with that. But there's so many different journeys to get to the destination, and we talk about that a lot. And it doesn't matter what Mecail does or what Lex does or Joseph. There's 3 different ways to get to the same destination. And if you need to go to a community college, so what? That's totally fine. I mean, it's you're still getting a good, you're getting education. You're being able to, for lack of a better term, sometimes we got to take a little smaller steps, smaller bites. And as you continue to achieve those things, next thing you know, then, all right, I'm ready to get to this 4-year university. So when you get there, it's like, okay, this is definitely a different world. It's a lot of people. There's a lot more. There's just so much more. But you've already gotten a taste of that previously by going to that 2-year, that community college, and that's totally fine. So I think that's certainly a stigma out there that we need to continue to break, because certain people are like, oh man, you went to community college? What happened? Like, man, nothing happened.
Ain't nothing happened.
That's just my path. I still got my 4-year, right? My degree.
Right. Exactly.
Oh.
But kudos to you. But kudos to you for not letting the obstacles that you face keep you from getting to that end goal. Because it could have been easy for you to say, you know what, nah, I'm just gonna sit in the house. There's no point. But what would you say was that one thing that you just said, you know what, I'm gonna make this happen? I know you speak on Miss Perez, but what was that thing once you started going through that process that allowed you to say, I'm not gonna quit? Because I know it got hard, especially being visually impaired. And you are now in a situation where you are constantly educating people around you. But what was that thing that kept you going?
I would definitely have to say my pastor, Pastor Cobb, Gary Cobb at Sunny Homes Baptist Church. My pastor lost both of his legs. He had diabetes real bad, and he still preaches. And then also hearing about other people's stories. I heard about you, Lex, and I was like, oh wow. And then hearing about Cassidy Hooper, born without eyes and a nose, I was like, oh wow. I'm just wow about everything. So, and then also looking at, man, if I quit, I basically lost everything that I had worked on. So you got to keep going. It's never going to be a time where it's going to be easy. We on earth. I mean, we come here on earth, we work. That's what we do. We have good days, we have bad days. We're going to have people that have their own opinions about stuff, but there's always going to be somebody around that's going to say, you know what? No. Let's keep going. Let's keep pushing. You're just going through a little moment, You're going through a little moment. So No, it's always gonna be something. It's either gonna be a person or it might just be a song on the radio that just come on and it just, say something about the name Jesus.
Come on now.
It's gonna be
Come
something.
on.
Yeah, and
Come
I used to
on.
sing in the choir. So
Yeah.
sometimes when me used to sing in the choir, I just sing my way through. Yeah. So
and shout out to Pastor Cobb. I think that, so we're gonna pull that bookmark, because earlier I said I want us to bookmark this space, because that was honestly something that was kind of off script. So circling back to when you were younger and growing up, finding God and having these deeper conversations and deeper thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, where you are, you have experienced the sight loss, and what I would describe that, I mean, that was a pretty traumatic experience. You got through that. You went to the rehabilitation center. You were able to learn how to use these resources and tactics to use computers, to learn Braille,
Mm-hmm.
to cook, to sew, whatever, whatever all of the classes that they offer now at the rehabilitation center.
Mm-hmm.
You went to college. You just graduated. Congratulations on that again, if I didn't say it already.
Most
Thank
definitely.
y'all.
And so now when we circle back to you finding God and really being in that in that space. I never like to use the word religious. But we're just gonna say God.
Yeah.
And so, what is your perspective now? How is your thinking? How did God help you get through all of these moments? And yeah, just speaking to that, I would love to hear about that.
Okay. So so basically I would say as a teenager, it started to really hit in a way that kind of felt weird, but I always stayed sacred with it. And that's why I said I don't want to use the word ashamed, but it's some things you just can't speak out loud. Because that's how, let's say, God say, move in silence and watch how I work.
Mm.
So that's how I was doing. I was like moving in silence and just, watch how he make things work. And I try to not get confused with psychology and God. Let's not mix that up. Let's not mix that up for real. But I was like, okay, I'm starting to understand some things without even speaking out loud. But when I lost my sight, what God did for the blind. Okay, I lost my sight. Okay, God, now you're going to give me my sight back? So it was more like a test. And sometimes I feel like, God is kind of arguing with me. I was like, trying not to ask questions why or nothing. He was like, you do as I say. Don't ever ask me why or what happened or why it had to be you, Mecail, because you're not the only one. Watch what I can do with you. When I'm ready for you to see, I will let you see. All the things you're going to receive without having sight, you're going to be amazed. You're going to go through some rough times. You're going to go through some good times. But this is only a test. And also, I really feel like he sees me as a very powerful individual. Like if you can take those type of battles when you had sight, you can definitely take on this one. So I allowed you to stay alive because he could have let me, gone right there and there. But I stayed alive and he just used me. So I said, okay, just use me in a way so other people can see how you work. And I felt like, okay, God, they're not seeing how you work. I mean, some people are just not getting it. I felt that way with certain professors, like they're not getting it. some people are not going to get it, and then there's going to be other people that's going to see it and be like, ah, there's something with that young lady.
Mm-hmm.
I just can't put my finger on it.
Mm.
So I was like, oh, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
also, when it comes to like social media and stuff, saying what God is going to do for me, or I'm supposed to be receiving something. Some things you just don't need to speak on it until it really happens. So
No, that's
so
very true.
that's the best way I can explain it, and it's so hard, and that's why it
No, you
happens.
did a good job. You did a
God.
good job.
Okay, thank you.
So
Yeah.
do you think we running out of time here? But do you think that God has given you the ability to see again?
I honestly do feel like he will give me that ability, because either it's going to be by his hands or it's going to be by that stem cell. I don't know, but all I know is this, and he gave me the name Miracle Child Walking, and I put it as MCW. They used to call me Swoops, and now they call me MCW, Miracle Child Walking.
Hey, there we go. There we go.
That's it
I
right
mean,
there.
I don't know what else to say after that.
Right.
I don't know what to
That's the
say.
mic drop.
Yeah, I
That's
will
the
say
mic
this.
drop.
I will say this. Kudos to you. Once again, I know I already said it, but you are walking proof that regardless of hardship,
Mhm.
obstacles, you can overcome with that willpower. God, you spoke a lot about God. God gave you that willpower, and you've used it. So I greatly appreciate it.
Mhm.
Everybody that hears this should be inspired. If not, you don't have a backbone, because
They will, man. And not only just be inspired, but be inspired to move and act. At the end of the day, like we talking to a phenomenal human being who has totally changed the tide, if you will, and refused to not allow her situation to keep her from success in life. So we're gonna end with this. You've done a lot already. But what's your future looking like right now? What kind of goals do you have moving forward?
Goals moving forward. Right now, I'm in a process of working on a radio podcast contest for Washington, D.C., which will happen in February. So that's going to be based on Stevens-Johnson Syndrome, how my life changed upside down, and how I tend to move forward. At the same time, looking for a job in radio broadcasting and TV. Hopefully something will come about, and also to interview some more people based on my own podcast called MCW, which I just interviewed Cassidy Hooper, and I also had interviewed Kiwan Amy, and I got some more to interview. So
Oh yeah.
I'm on the roll. I'm on the roll. So, but other than that, that's pretty much it. But hopefully I get to interview you two guys.
Hey,
Oh yeah, we
anytime.
definitely gonna have to get up there.
We definitely want that. Hey, and you always welcome. Come back on Site
Mm-hmm.
School whenever.
All right.
Anytime for sure. So yeah, we're gonna bid you best wishes and send those prayers and great thoughts and good
Thank
vibes to you as you pursue the radio journey, the podcast journey, and really appreciate you coming on to Site School. I know I have learned a lot today.
Yes.
Taught me to see, and I'm pretty sure that Joe can relate as well.
Most
So we're gonna get up out of here. But before we leave, Joe, let them know where they can find us, my man.
Hey, you already know. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Follow us, Site School. Once again, you watching the video, make sure you hit that like, share, comment below. And once again, Lex, tell them what we doing.
Teaching people to see.
We out of here. Peace out.